My name is Hasan Ashraf. I'm an anthropologist from Bangladesh. In 2009, I came to Heidelberg to start my PhD work, and I'm working on female garment factory workers to see stress among themselves. And there are more than 5,000 garment factories in operation in Bangladesh, and nearly 4 million workers are working, of whom 80% are female. These factories are operated very strictly. For example, Bangladesh government factory owners are reluctant to let the workers form any trade unions. And these factories are basically allowed to export, and export only, which is why these factories are working as the economic enclave of Western apparel brands. To experience the workers' working life and life in general, I conducted 13 months of fieldwork in Dhaka, and I worked in one garment factory as a full-time worker for more than 6 months. And in my experience, it was really hard to work in a factory, in a regimented production system, working for 10 to 14 hours in a day, 6 days a week. It was really hard. And it is not only hard like for long working hours. The very labor management was pretty much restrictive, and I also saw sexual harassment, physical beating, and restricted mobility of the workers. Like factory gates are guarded for 24 hours, and workers are not allowed to go out on their wish, and workers are controlled in their assembly lines. And even if you look at the windows, all windows are grilled with metal nets. So this is one kind of factory building or architecture. And another important thing is that these many factories are established and are in operation in residential buildings. And these buildings are not built to operate factories. So there are lots of events of factory fire, and there is no fire exit. So these are the kind of like infrastructure situation. But when I actually started my fieldwork, I approached so many people, and they didn't let me in. But somehow, I managed to get permission to start working in a factory. And then it was more challenging because I found myself in a very strange position, because it was really difficult at the beginning to establish the mutual friendship and trust. And for the first month, I didn't ask any question. I answered questions. Factory owners, political leaders, economists, and many from the middle class, they hail the garment workers, that they are so good, they are the golden girls of the country, because this garment sector is contributing as the main export earnings for the country. It has some kind of paradoxes. For example, the worker who are working in these garment factories, especially the female workers, they are labeled as garmentsir meye in Bangla or garment girl in English, and it is used to denote someone with loose moral and low standard and low taste in fashion. And workers demanded like at least 50 euro equivalent money per month. And then owners didn't want to agree, but at the end, after lots of labor protests and movements, owner agreed to pay minimum wage as 30 euro per month. And I mean, one can argue that all factories are not same. And there are good factories, there are bad factories, factories with better facilities. But the bottom line is that all factories are paying the same minimum wage. And for example, Gucci, Armani, Versace, Tommy Hilfiger, the wage they're paying, the same wage are paid by Kik, Lidl, H&M, these kind of brands. And to understand this, we have to look at the Western fashion industry. And this Western fashion industry is largely depending on mass production, and it is not producing in Western countries. And this trend has started since 1970s because of the price hike of production price, and then Western brands, they transferred their production sites in so-called third world countries. And the working conditions in there are pretty much tied with the types of work order, time, delivery deadline, these kind of things. So the workers' life in there are directly linked with the Western fashion industry here. So workers' life is inseparable from the consumption end.